Right there it is, the Swahackers. The Swahacker massive 3-inch cut, 150 grain. So.
It's Swhacker, not Swahacker.
What?
It's Swhacker.
It's Swhacker?
Swhacker.
No, it's Swahacker. Swahacker.
No. You say it Swhacker. That's how literally everybody says it.
No, that's different broadheads. These are Swahackers. Swahacker. So there.
Okay.
I got some questions recently about whether I am switching from the 3-inch Swahacker to the Beast broadheads, right? Got that question recently about a month ago in a video that I posted here on Death by Bunjie. Do you want to go with the old trusty standby, the Swahacker number 251, or do we want to try out the Beast broadhead, Donald Trump edition? I mean, we're going to Canada, right? And with the tariffs and whatnot, we probably want to avoid the Trump broadheads, at least for now. I'm not going to deviate. We're using the tried, true, and tested Swhacker. The short answer is no, I'm not switching. But watch this whole video because you're going to see incredible, epic proof. The 3-inch Swhacker is the ultimate broadhead for crossbow hunters, period. I am more convinced now that this is the perfect broadhead more than ever. We used to do Broadhead Week here on Crossbow Appreciation Month. And this year, I'm basically going to do Swhacker Week. And the reason for that is I just got so much video evidence of how good these broadheads are and what they've done for me. Look no further than Genevieve's bear hunt. I defy you to find a more impressive shot on an animal that leaves a more impressive and immediate blood trail than Genevieve's shot on her 2025 spring black bear in Manitoba.
Whoa. Whoa.
I'm not getting any money for saying this, but I'm telling you flat out, I like these so much, I reached out to the folks at Swhacker. They were generous enough to give us not just a 10%, but a 15% discount on Swhacker products, 15% off using coupon code Bunjie2025. That bear, and Genevieve, all the patience in the world, waiting all week, sitting through terrible weather. What a great hunt. I am so proud of her and how great that went. It's such a great story. Normally, I wouldn't say take a shot at a bear standing up, right? You want them broadside and down where you can see the vitals. But my daughter is a taxidermist. You understand? She's a taxidermist who mounts bears, and she's done numerous bears, including that one right there. My bear, my Maine black bear from 2021, right? My first bear, Bunjie's first bear. Another great Swhacker success story right there. Right there. She knows bear anatomy, and that's one of the big rules, one of the axioms. I talk about that in my book right here, this book right here, right? I'm dropping all my Swhackers, but they're tough. They can take it. Death by Bunjie crossbow method. In my book, I talk about axioms, right? Which are little rules that I, as a crossbow hunter, live by. And they're rules that I would suggest you follow as well, or at least take into consideration. But Genevieve understands anatomy. She is a taxidermist, and she knows how to essentially where those vitals are located. She took that shot, and when the bear turns, it is immediately pouring blood onto the forest floor. And it is such a trail. The images, I'll be posting that and other images throughout the week on our Facebook page. Facebook's going to hate me by the end of the week. Do you understand? With all the pictures I'm going to show them, right? It's going to be pretty gory, but it is what it is. And it is a testament to how great a product the 3-inch Swhacker is. The simple fact of the matter is you can't get the same amount of damage out of a 2-inch broadhead that you can get out of a 3-inch broadhead. It's basic.
Tiny little fixed blade broadheads
Cannot possibly create the same damage that creates. The reason that people favor the smaller broadheads is because they get better penetration. You're a modern crossbow hunter. You're shooting 400 feet per second or so, or in a lot of cases, way more than that. You've got way more than enough energy to push out the other side of an animal with one of these. You really do with a modern crossbow. And if you don't have a modern crossbow, like the OB, like Bunjie, you should be shooting a heavier arrow to get yourself up to the point where you are getting that 0.7 slugs of momentum. And you'll push this out the other side of a bear. In Maine, that bear ran off with my arrow. It eventually passed through. It cut through the bear. It was coming out the other side. She just ran off with it and dumped it along the trail. But that was with a 500 grain arrow. When I finally upped Bunjie's arrow weight to around 635 grains or so, I got to 0.701 slugs of momentum just into that threshold that I keep talking about. And even though it's only traveling 249 feet per second or so, it easily went out the other side of a bigger black bear and buried itself in the dirt. That's what you want. That's crossbow hunting perfection. Back to Genevieve's bear though. These things not only left that blood trail, but you want to see something impressive? My daughter hit the lungs perfectly. Like I said, she knows anatomy. When that bear turns, it throws blood in one frame. A few frames later in the video, we see this white coming out of there, right? And I asked Genevieve, I'm like, what is that? And Genevieve said, that is the air from that bear's lungs condensing, the warm air from the bear's lungs condensing into water vapor when it hits the colder forest air. Do you need more proof? Do you need more proof? Come on, you're trying to take the air out of the lungs. And it's not only doing that, you have visual proof that it's taking the air out of the lungs. The bear goes less than 40 yards, we find it no problem. And it was a great story. It was exactly what all of our hunts should end with. Bigger is better when it comes to broadheads. It just is for us as crossbow hunters. We're not using the lesser forms of archery equipment here that don't have the energy to push that out the other side of the animal. That's not a discussion for us anymore. We're using more than enough energy with a proper weapon, with a modern hunting weapon that can push this out the other side of the animal. These aren't just for bear, they're for deers also, right? We kill lots of deers with the Swahackers. Look at hunt after hunt, and I can show you video proof of how good they are and how great they are. Even this deer over here, right? This guy right here. This is the biggest deer I ever killed with a crossbow, this one right here. And this buck down in Maryland, I shot with a more modern crossbow, with a SWAT X1 with the Enforcer, right? Remember that. And right here, my daughter sewed up the 3-inch hole where that Swahacker came out the other side of this deer. Right here. This is the exit wound. This is where it came out the other side of the biggest deer I ever killed. Through the shoulder. Do you understand? There's no more aiming back here and hoping you get the lungs. No, we shoot up here where all the business end is. You understand what I'm saying? We shoot up here. We get the vitals, we get the arteries, we get the blood trail. And that's how you kill a deer with a modern crossbow, right here. And you let the taxidermist sew it up and worry about it later. How about that? A couple other considerations about the 3-inch Swahacker, formerly known as number 251. Swhacker, the company, is kind of a funny company. Like, you know, it's called a 251. They give them numbers, but the number doesn't reference what this is. It means something to them, but it doesn't mean anything to me as a Swahacker consumer. But that's okay, right? We'll give them that. We'll give them that. But the number 251 is gone. They used to differentiate between the crossbow version and the compound bow version. And I always thought there was a difference. Right? There must be a difference because why do they make both? But they stopped doing that. And they have confirmed with me in my conversations with them that there's no difference between this and the regular compound bow version. So if you can't get your hands on these, which I like the vintage silver 251, so I have a bunch of these left, right? But I'm running out of them. Genevieve runs through a lot of them. Now you're looking at the number 243, okay? That's the 3-inch job, the 150 grainer that I prefer. And I think all modern crossbows really like 150 grain broadheads, really like 150 grain field points. I just only use that with my gear. Bunjie 2025, 15% off. And you can get the 15% off on the 100 grains and the 125s too if you want to do that. And some of the other products on that website. But Bunjie 2025 is your access code for that, right? Your coupon code. I use it myself, right? When I buy broadheads, I'm using that same code now. Another observation, they come now with orange rings and white rings. I just use a couple of the white rings typically with our crossbows, but on the Black Widow, right, the Ravin R29X shooting 450 feet per second and above, with something like that, those crossbows, you'd want to use the orange ones, the high-speed bands, just to make sure that you get that added protection. Throw a couple of them on there. They come with lots of bands, so don't be afraid to use the bands up. I use double bands just because I've never had a problem with them opening, and a couple of those bands in case the bands are old and maybe brittle, so I put a couple of bands on there to make sure I don't have a problem. They no longer come with practice points, okay? Still getting the 15% off, okay? We're saving some money here as friends of Bunjie with coupon code Bunjie 2025. You can buy 3 practice points and you'll be all set. But buy the right weight by the same weight practice point that you're going to be hunting with, of course, right? Then you've got a matched set. These are like the same thing too. You ever get those practice points and they don't look anything like the Broadhead? Like, don't tell me it's going to fly the same. It doesn't even look like it. These are basically the same thing. You could hunt with these for like small game legally here in Pennsylvania. I have shot these at woodchucks before, right? And they fly the same as these, of course, because they're the same thing. So there you go. But man, that 3-inch cutting right there, you know, these things fly really well. Do they fly the same as a field point? Maybe. Out to 40 yards, 60 yards, with some of my crossbows with Bunjie there, it's the same as a field point. They don't shoot any noticeable difference that I can tell. I'm not the greatest shot in the world, but I can't shoot well enough to tell a difference, okay? If that makes any sense, I hope it does. With the SWAT X1, and I think it's because of the enclosed barrel, the arrow comes out and it doesn't spin, right? It's coming out like a dart straight. It doesn't have the spinning that you would get up with other crossbows. And for that reason, it does shoot a little differently than the field points. So I sight in specifically for these. You do want to sight in, that's why you want the practice points, right? So you can sight in for your broadheads on your crossbow. Don't assume they shoot the same as field points, but I can tell you, you're probably more likely to shoot like a field point than other broadheads because there's just less wind resistance. It's got just the two little blades sticking out there. So there you go. I'm not switching to beast broadheads. I don't know anything about these. If they're good broadheads and you like them, fantastic. I hope they treat you really, really well. I've used broadheads like this before, very similar to the Rage. I only bought them because of the Trump edition, and it's kind of cool, right? And I know that upset a few people.
I can't believe you're MAGA or whatever.
You know, you can label me if you want, but it is what it is. But this bothered some people, so I won't talk about the Trump stuff anymore, and I'll try not to bother people with that going forward. So thank you for watching this Crossbow Appreciation Month video, and until next time, all hail Bunjie.